My name is Tanisha Pinckney, and I am the blind visually impaired counselor for vocational rehabilitation.
And hello, I'm Ashley Harris, and I am a vocational rehab counselor with Texas Workforce Commission.
Just an overview of what we'll be talking about. Adult services as well as youth and student services, eligibility requirements, the disabilities that vocational rehabilitation serves, and then also how to apply for services as well. For adult services, eligibility, of course, is need-based employment services because vocational rehabilitation is about finding competitive integrated employment for our customers. So we have to prepare, obtain, and also advance in employment. Of course, it's based on the customer and their needs as well.
Okay. So we offer several different services. So we don't only offer, like a lot of times you'll feel.
Do you want to hold the microphone? Would that be easier? Like take it out there and you can pass it back and forth.
Yeah. Please do.
Just like nobody wants to see that. Maybe one. So we offer a wide range of services. Our new VR system is about 1,000 pages long. So we offer that many services. But just to break it down a little bit, some of those examples of those services are career counseling and guidance. Once you're eligible for services, to a master's level counselor who can help you navigate through the VR process, but also help with things like informed choice, help navigate some of the other services that are offered in the community, and also help adjust to the disability. So career counseling is not only helping them figure out what career works best for them, but also things like how do you talk to your employer, when to disclose your disability, stuff like that, and the counselor is available to assist with that. Also, job search assistance, we do that through several different ways, whether it's just in-office helping you locate employment, or if we're doing something more expressive like job placement or supported employment, which we'll get into later on. Disability-related skills training. So for example, we offer BBI services, which I will let her talk all about. But we also offer things like assisting you with learning the assistive technology. So the assistive technology that you receive, which is the next thing, we also offer assistance in learning that. Because everybody knows what good is a really cool device if you don't know what to do with it. And then also academic and vocational training. So we offer assistance with things like helping you train for a new career, helping you train for a career that you thought, hey, this would be cool, helping you determine whether that's a good career for you. One thing that we like to work with is not only helping you figure out what careers work, but also helping you gain more information before you go and end up like me with $100,000 of student loan debt. Because I tried everything. I was all the things before I was this. So we help you figure out, okay, yeah, you like nursing. Nursing is great, but let's look at the components of nursing to see if that's something you actually want to do. I figured out pretty quick that as much as I love doctors and I love their role, my personality and my personality didn't mesh well. So I had to find something else to do. So that's what academic and vocational training is. And then we also help, once we figure out that career goal, help you pay for it. Because what good is me telling you, hey, you should be a doctor, without telling you how to get there. And then support services and referrals. So helping you navigate through Brazos Valley's many services and figuring out how to do the referrals, how to get in touch with people, who you need to talk to, and also transportation assistance for support services. And I'm going to pass the mic for transition.
For transition services, They're provided to high school students, move from high school to successful work and independent living. So through a lot of partnerships that we partner with a lot of schools, VR provides these services to students attending school so that they are prepared when they exit high school. Again, like she said, it's the counseling guide that's working with the student to try to understand, what it is they want to do vocationally wise and help them towards that goal. Once they leave high school, vocational rehabilitation is still available to them as necessary. Transition students are between the ages of 14 and 22. In most cases, transitional students fall into one of these categories, which we call pre-ETS, which are pre-employment transition services, which consist of career exploration, again, exploring the careers that they're interested in, work-based learning, counseling on post-secondary opportunities with going to school, job readiness, and self-advocacy.
Before we hop into eligibility, how many people have children between the ages of 14 and 26? Okay, so we got a few. So our pre-ed services are that piece between, okay, you got a high school kid, I have a senior who is figuring out life and figuring out, okay, I want to go to school, but maybe I need to pay attention to all of the scholarship deadlines and filling out applications and when are things due. So we are the kind of the bridge between, yes, I'm in high school and I have all the support of my amazing teachers who want me to succeed, and stepping out into the world where people really don't care. And so, and I say people really don't care, but what I mean is that realization that your professor is already paid. So they don't care whether you come to class or not. And maybe you're going to work. Your supervisor doesn't really care that you woke up with a headache that morning. They just need you at work. So we work to bridge that gap because as everybody who has stepped into the world of adulthood knows, it's jarring when you first step out. And especially if you're stepping out and you think, my parents are old, they don't get it. And then you step out and I'm on myself, I'm on my own. I'm 2 hours away from my parents. What do? That's where your counselor comes into play. So when we talk about those pre-ed services that we're referencing, we're doing career exploration, but we're also talking to you about what it means for you to have a career and not just a job. We're talking about, hey, if you want the career that you say you want, let's say you want to be a doctor, that's 10 years of schooling. What does that look like financial-wise? Can your family afford to assist you with that? Or do you need to be looking at scholarships or some other options? Hey, I know you want to go to Duke. I love Duke. But would it be more cost efficient for you to stay in Texas? Maybe go to Texas A&M and be an Aggie. And, as opposed to going to Duke where you're going to spend substantially more for out-of-state tuition. We also do work-based learning. I'm going to shameless plug for my new favorite program. We do work-based learning. I am the vocational counselor for Project Search, where I met this day. And it is such an amazing program because it actually puts students into the hospital working. It is an unpaid internship, unfortunately, but it actually puts them into the world of work at the hospital at Baylor Scott & White. Baylor Scott & White is a great partner that we have that are willing to let our guys come in, and they work hand in hand with us to get them internships. They get to work in different places in the hospital. They get to experience being on their own without having a teacher right there. We work in conjunction with BB-SEAL to provide job coaching while they're there. So they're not only learning the skills, but they're also learning things like how to set for an interview. They're doing employment planning meetings where they're learning how to do an interview or how to talk in front of a group of people. We have them interview for the program, and it's a round table interview. How many people have ever done one of those? My daughter is only If you've ever, and I asked her, she was like, "That's terrifying." If you've ever done a roundtable interview, the first time that you step into that, it's jarred. So they get to experience that with people who want them to succeed. So that the next time they walk into it where people don't know them, they're a little bit more comfortable. They're used to talking to people. They're used to being kind of the center of attention, which is huge, even if you don't have a disability. But if you do have a disability, that being able to show you who you are sometimes is what's the most important. So they get to do that with Project Search. It is a year-long program. So a lot of our guys get to practice sticking with something. You know, like when you're in school, I like baseball. I'll do baseball for 2 or 3 months. Okay, I don't like baseball anymore. We're in that phase right now, as you know, where it's almost March. It's almost spring break. Our guys are like, okay, I don't really want to do this anymore. This was fun when I started, but now, and they're still having to stick with it. They're still having to show up. So I love Project Search now. It's my new favorite baby. And then also job readiness. So that's a perfect segue into the other thing that Project Search specifically, but Pre-Ed Services works with, is getting you ready for the world of work. All of VR services are geared toward employment. So we look at what your employment goal is and what services will help you get there. So although we have over 1,000 pages, every person is not eligible for every service because your career goal doesn't help you get there. So we spend a large amount of time getting them used to the idea that, hey, once we're done with all of this, you're going to work. So once we're done with all of this training, you're going to work. Once you're done with all of the trade schooling, you're going to work. And what does that look like? So we really, really focus on getting them to focus on that idea that not only are you going to work, but once you go to work, we're going to drop off. So we want to set you up for success. Our goal, like I tell all of my customers, and you can probably ask me if this, you can probably ask her. What I tell every single one of my customers is my hope is to never see you again. Because that means you're doing well, you're reaching your goals, you've gotten the career you want, and you don't need me. And for the most part, most people don't come back and say, hey, me. Unless they need me. So my goal is to never see you again. And if I never see you again, that means I've done my job, and I can kind of relish in that success. And then the last piece is self-advocacy. We are not only doing that with our teenagers, we're also doing that with some of our adults. We offer services from age 14 to you don't want to work anymore. Everybody has the potential to have a disability. And so we're teaching self-advocacy, not only to our students, but I got employees right now who are like, my boss is mean to me, and I'm trying to keep my job, and I don't know what to do, but I got hurt on the job, and now my back hurts. And I'm going to physical therapy, but they're trying to fire me. And we're teaching self-advocacy not only at age 14, but also at age 48, 58, 68 for hearing aids in some cases. So we start those services low, but we bring them up all the way through. So eligibility. You want to take that? Sure.
So for eligibility requirements, of course you have to be present in the state of Texas and be legally eligible to work, have a disability, which is a barrier to your employment. VR requires for you to prepare, obtain, and retain, as well as advance in employment as well. And being able to obtain, retain, and advance in competitive integrated employment as a result of VR services, meaning that you want to be equal just like everybody else when we talk about competitive integrated employment. So real quick, I'm BVI, so my caseload is more of adults from 18 on up, so I don't work a lot with the youth, but blind and visually impaired, a lot of people don't even know that there is a BVI resources in the area for them. But a lot of the customers that I work with are unfortunately like they're newly blind, meaning this just happened overnight. Something happened, an illness or whatever may happen, and now they're legally blind, they can't see anything. So we help them in becoming independent again. So we offer services such as orientation mobility instructors, which come into their household and help them navigate. Help them, navigate through their home again, or navigate outside of the home, or how to get from here and there. And then we have vocational rehabilitation teachers that help them to be independent, such as learning to cook again, clean, those things, how to recognize, how to even use the microwave. Because, we take those things for granted if something happens to us. So for them, it's a big adjustment for them. But if they want to go back to school, a lot of the customers that I work with don't even know that if you are blind, legally blind, there is a tuition that will pay for your schooling. So a lot of them utilize that, and then they just utilize us for other things such as O&M or VRT, but we also offer assistive technology. Maybe it's a special computer that they need for school, a special calculator, anything that they need to help them navigate, whether it's employment or going to school, we offer those assistive technology. And I don't know if you're familiar with Chris Cole, which is in Austin, Texas, which is hard to get in because it is an amazing school for people who are legally blind. They're able to go there for 6 months or more and actually live there and just work on being independent in general. Whatever it is that they need, they work on being independent, but also they help them retain and find employment for themselves. They help them with apartments. Like, they do so much for customers, and to get into Chris Cole is so hard. Like, the wait list sometimes can be 6 months to a year. It just depends. So that's the caseload that I work with. So again, for eligibility, those are the eligibility requirements for VR services.
So, one thing is, we only have the 4 criteria, but just one thing that we like to point out is that just because you have a disability doesn't mean it's an impediment to employment. One thing that I like to use is, I'm a chunky girl. I understand that, I'm good with it. However, technically it's a disability. It has a code, it has an EOC code. But it doesn't stop me from being able to work because I get to talk to you cool people, I get to work in an office, most of the places I can get climb in, climb out, all of that. So it's not a substantial issue to employment. However, if I was on a roof, if I was a person that, what do you call it? Roofer. Is it roofer? Okay. Look, appreciate that support. If I was a roofer, I had to get up and down on ladders and climb up on top of houses and, throw things down and pick up that would then be an impediment to employment. So when we look at those 4 criteria, we look at, yes, you have a disability, but is that disability affecting the employment that you work in? So in terms of like BVI, a lot of times we get individuals who are teachers who are going blind. Could you imagine, for all my teachers in here, could you imagine being in a classroom and not being able to see somebody throwing something at you? So that becomes a disability, but it's also an impediment to employment. We look at, one thing that we work a lot with is like surgeries. We do some surgeries. We look at, okay, yes, you need a hernia surgery, but is this hernia stopping you from being able to work? And that's where we kind of make differentiations when we're doing eligibility. And then the third one is, can VR services help? Some disabilities, unfortunately, all the VR intervention in the world would not get you back to work. And so we look at that as well. And then lastly, that you have the desire to go to work. I will be honest with you, everybody that darts outdoors do not have the ability or the desire to work. They're darting outdoors for different reasons. And so, if at any point you don't meet that requirement, that you don't want to go to work anymore, then you're no longer eligible for services. And we do that so that we can make sure we're using tax dollars, because we are federally and state funded. We're using tax dollars for the purpose that it was set up for. So we serve a whole host, that's a perfect segue. We serve a whole host of disabilities. Stuff that I didn't even know was a disability until I started working as a VR counselor. I had ADHD my whole life, in case y'all can't tell. I have not been able to focus more than 15 minutes on any item at any given time in my life. Lo and behold, that's a disability we serve. Now, again, it's not an impediment to employment because I learned how to deal with it, but anyway. I am, because she got BPI, I got everything. So I am also the TBI, traumatic brain injury specialist. So I work with Neurorestorative in Houston, Moody in Houston, which are great programs that we work with, to help you get back to work once you've had the worst day in your life usually. You've had an accident, you've had a stroke, you've had an aneurysm, you've had something that has stopped your brain from doing the things that it was doing before. And so we work with them. We do 4 months of intense inpatient therapy usually, where they do things like teaching them how to walk again, teaching them how to grab things again, fine motor skills, all of those things that, like she said, you don't think about until you can't use them. One time when I went to Neurorestorative, they have a little room where you get to see what that's like. I'm being honest. The lady told me I couldn't use my legs to get down, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna stay up here. I'm not doing that. You want me to get down and scoot? I'm not doing that. But it was an eye-opening experience for me because I realized that some people don't have a choice. And so we work with physical disabilities a lot. We work with mental disabilities a lot. We work with schizophrenia. That's a fun one. We work with, and I say that specifically because we have specific services for that group. We work with psychological and neurodevelopmental disorders. Things like IED, autism, ADHD, which falls under neurodevelopmental. We also work with sensory disabilities. One disability that I didn't think that I did not know was a disability was dysgraphia, where the numbers don't look, or you don't process the numbers the way that you would normally process them. Like, I did not know this was a thing. I got to learn all about it, and I spent a whole lot of time down a rabbit hole. But with all of these disabilities, each of the disabilities have specific services that are generally geared toward that, as well as whatever your employment goal is. And I'm gonna pass that to you.
So we call up MSGs with their measurable skills gain data tracking. It requires us to track the skills when working with our customers, such as like their grades, transcripts, diplomas, certifications. So we require every customer that is enrolled, whether in high school or post-secondary, to sign a release allowing the school to release any grades or transcripts to the counselor each semester. So a lot of times the customer is responsible themselves for providing it to the counselor. This is entered into our tracking system, which we do no later than June 30th. Every counselor is assigned to school to meet with the student records to determine what is the most efficient way to receive this each semester. But again, a lot of times we put that on the customer to make sure that they get that to us, because I mean, that's part of being responsible. So that's kind of like teaching them the skill as well.
So part of the reason why we have measurable skill gains is because the federal government and the state government said, hey, we need a program or we need funding specifically for people who are transitioning out of high school into the world of work. So they said, okay, when can we start? We can start at 14. We're gonna give them a set of money just for this group of people. So we actually have a separate pre-ETS budget specifically designed for our kiddos from age 14 through 26. And those measurable skill gains make sure that we keep getting that money. We use that information to keep telling the federal government, the state government, our representatives, the people who write us checks, that what we're doing is working. So one reason why we do the measurable skill gains is because that lets the federal and the state governments know that our kiddos are not dropping out of school. They're finishing school programs, they're finishing Project Search, they're finishing vocational training, they're finishing high school, which I know is a huge push right now. They're just finishing high school. and they're going into the world of work. So we actually do this each semester. So we do it fall, spring. If they're going to school in the summer, we do it in the summer. We take their grades. They have to provide us with their grades. So we're teaching them self-advocacy, but we're also gathering that information so we can keep getting money. And as everybody knows, if you don't show what you're doing with the money, they take the money away. And so vocational rehab counselors gather this information, and then we go to the people who write the checks and we say, hey, look, our population of people with disabilities want to work. Because at the end of the day, getting money is great. But we want to tell them, hey, they want to work. This is an untapped field. People with disabilities are an untapped field. They will be your best employees if you just give them a chance. And so we use these measurable skill gains to prove that. Because I can talk all day long, y'all know. However, come on, but if we're not showing the documentation, if we're not showing paperwork, nobody believes us. So we use that information. We also use this as an opportunity for our kids to get adults, to show us how good they're doing. Every semester, I have at least, I'll say 5 or 6 people that I can't even get into my email fast enough for the grades to come out. I know when Texas A&M's grades come out every single semester because 10 people will sit, hey, look, I had this class and you know I'm struggling with this class. Look, I got an A. They are so excited to let me know that, hey, I passed, I did good. When they get ready to graduate, I get letters and emails and just all kinds of stuff, because in some cases, without VR, they would not have been able to go to school. Without VR, they wouldn't have been accepted into school, because when I got them, their grades were not great. And then by the time they got through high school, they were making grades to get into school. So they are always so excited. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, if you will, that we are not only helping the state understand the value of people with disabilities, but we're also helping them understand their own value. So this is our contact information. This is our direct office number here. We are actually located on the back six work. So if you go all the way back where Carter Creek and 29th Street intersect, that's where our office is. And then of course there's the VR hotline where you can also contact them and do an initial contact. I don't know why I'm reading it. That is really small.
It is small. We do like parent interaction, so it's questions they get to answer.
You want to go back to your, go back one slide to your info, because then we can, if people want to ask questions.
That works for me.
Okay. I do have one someone on Facebook. How can VR services help those with disabilities who are in school but wanting to have and maintain a job outside of their studies?
So, y'all can tell I got a big mouth. I'm not used to having a mic in my hand. It's just sitting here. I'm using it to direct band. Okay. So, for our students who are in high school, for example, or they're in college, for example,
Yes.
and they're needing employment, for our plans, we go in the direction of their ultimate career goal. But in doing that, we do this thing called counseling and guidance. In counseling and guidance,
I'm just gonna give this for a question.
okay.
I was gonna talk, no.
I was just gonna run that one back and forth.
Look, the ADHD was strong in that one. I'm like, what are we doing? So, in doing that, so even though we're focusing on you becoming an architect, or even though we're focusing on you just getting through high school, we're also doing counseling and guidance at least every 180 days, but usually more than that. So we are saying, hey, we're talking directly with our customers. Sometimes we're scheduling meetings for them to come into the office. We're exploring with them, hey, I know you want to go to school, that's great. I know you want to be a sonographer, but you're going to be in school for 2 years. How are you going to pay for that? How are you going to pay your rent? How are you going to pay for lights, gas, water, food, all the things that you need to focus on school? So during that time, we're connecting them with Texas Workforce, the actual job searching work center, the resource center. We're connecting them, we're making referrals to them to get them employed in part-time employment. We're linking them up. Every place that I walk into that has a now hiring sign, I'm finding a manager. As a counselor, I'm finding a manager going, hey, I see y'all are hiring. Are you really hiring? Or are you just hiring college students?
Yeah.
Oh, you're really hiring? Okay, tell me what I need. Who you need? If you want to work at FedEx, I know a guy. If you want to work at McDonald's, I know a guy. I'm still trying to get into HEB, so if anybody got any hookups, let me know. So any place, any place that I'm in that I know is hiring or that I get a lead, I'm going in there going, hey, I got a customer who will be your best worker. Would it be okay if I led them to you? And I've been very successful in getting part-time employment for my customers, even in some cases, closing our customers with what was a part-time job but is now a full-time job. Because we wanted to be a welder until we realized you actually had to do math. And now we don't want to weld no more. We'd rather stay at Sam's. So, you know, that's how we help, is just because we're focusing on you becoming a welder, we're also looking at areas of your life that can help you get there. Because I don't know about y'all, but when I was in school, I didn't really care about going to school all that much if I was hungry. So if we need to get you hooked up with a food pantry to make sure you got some food, that's what we're doing. So, you want to add that?
It'll be the same. But yeah, we utilize the workforce center a lot of times meeting them over there, you know, and be like, hey, I have this customer, they need XYZ, let's see what we can do to help them. So we definitely utilize the workforce center a lot and the people that work there and helping them find employment.
Any other questions? Because, you know, coming to you.
So is the Texas Workforce Commission separate from vocational resources? The reason I'm asking is I brought my son when he was in high school, got him set up with Texas Workforce Commission, thinking this is what would happen, this is what he would need when he graduated from high school. But I don't think he's connected. I mean, I don't think he's connected with, none of this is happening. It needs to. So is there a different application or is there a different process or what am I missing?
So I like to tell people, thanks. I like to tell people that we are like the mall. We are like the post-op mall, where you walk into one building and there's a whole bunch of different stores. So you can't go into a shoe department and expect them to give you an Annie's pretzel. But if you're hungry, Annie's is where you need to be. So, like for example, the BB Cog building hosts so many, like, I'm not gonna mess up, but you know, I know they host like housing is in that building. So if you're looking specifically for disabilities, that's where we come in. The other area of the workforce kind of works with everybody, so they offer different types of services. We also have different requirements for eligibility. So we're in the same building, but we all do kind of the same but different things, if that makes sense. But one thing that we're working on right now, and they just started this initiative, is called No Wrong Door. And so the idea is that we're working collaboratively. So if you're in one area and you're like, hey, I'm really looking for like disability voc services, they can make that referral to us. Or if you're in our area and we're able to do some things, but some things we're not able to do per policy, we can make a referral to the WIOVA program and connect you with them. So if what you're needing is not exactly what's happening, I would reach out to, the worker, that's what I'm trying to say. Look, y'all, my brain is like, it's after 5, what are you doing talking? But reach out to them and say, hey, can you make a referral?
Okay.
Or you can always just walk through our doors and we can hook you up.
And can I do that on behalf of an 18-year-old, or the 18-year-old has to do that?
The 18-year-old has to do that.
Because he doesn't know what he needs, right? Like,
Yes.
he's,
Well, you can come
he
with
has,
him.
he has a disability.
Right, yeah, you can come with him, but the case falls under him. And the reason we do that is because we love you, Mama. We do. However, you're not gonna be able to go to work with him.
I'm trying to get off the payroll.
Right. So that's the idea is, yes, you can come with him, but we're gonna work the case with him. So like you can come in for the meetings, he can even set you up as a designated representative, which we'll talk about once you come in, if that's something that he needs, or if you just want to advocate on his behalf. But we would work the case with him being 18.
You may have said this, but if someone wants to enroll in services for their kiddo, how do they do that?
So they do have to be under 18 in order for you to enroll for them. Even then, we still, even if they're 14, we want them there. We want them there because we want them to understand that as much as our parents love us, this is your life. So the parents can do the initial contact for the customer, which is where you guys call or walk through our front doors and we set you up. You can come into the interview with the customer and we will do the application, the diagnostic interview, which is our first little gathering of information that we do. You can even participate in a lot of the services, like the assessment part that we do, where maybe you have a general diagnostic background. You will be included in that. Any plans that they sign, you will be included in that until they turn 18. But for all of those areas, we want them to know that they have a part in their life and a say-so in their life. We will even meet with them at the school. Of course, with you on the phone, if they're under 18. But we will meet with them at the school to do their counseling and guidance meetings so that they get connected with us and they know us and they know that we're there to help them in their life.
So my question is, if a parent has guardianship of their child, can that young adult or teenager still receive services, VR services?
Absolutely. As long as they meet those 4 requirements, absolutely. Even if they have guardianship. We do require, just a heads up for the guardians, we do require paperwork to determine whether you have guardianship of person, place, or both. Person, estate, or both. I don't know why I said person, place. Person, estate, or both. Also, if you have guardianship, I like to let parents know ahead of time. That means you have to be available for all interactions with your person. So, if they have a meeting, you gotta be there, because you have to sign their plan as well. If they have an assessment, you gotta be there. I like to let people know that, because they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm their guardian, let them go. No, you gotta be there. But yes, of course, they can always come through our doors. We will do the application process, determine eligibility, and then if they're eligible, we'll assist them in getting employed.
Okay, I have another question. So my son used to get VR services, but he's had a job for 2 years, so he has graduated. If he decides he wants to go back to college, then if he's over 22, he goes to the other side. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But if he's still under, then he can come back.
Well, and actually, you brought up a good point that I forgot to mention. For our services, it's not a one and done thing. So if we close them successfully and something happens, you can come back. That even goes not just for our kiddos. So let's say you have a knee surgery and you gotta wear it, and then you fall again, and now that knee's busted up again. You can come on back. So it's not a one and done thing.
Can you ask about Summer Earn and Learn? Just the stuff that I know families were interested in.
Summer Earn and Learn, can you please tell us about it?
Yeah.
So, I work with adults only. Oh, I don't know how I So Summer Earn and Learn is a program where we allow our kiddos between the ages of 14 and 26, or 22, to be able to experience what it's like to go to work. How many people remember your first job? How many people quit your first job? So, Summer Earn and Learn gives you the opportunity to have that process without it being a permanent thing. So, we work with Texas Workforce to our board to assist them with working during the summer. It's don't quote me on this, guys, 8-week, 6-week. Oh, good. How many weeks? 5. It is a 5-week program during the summer where they have a job coach readily available for them. And they actually get to go to work. They get paid. They make money, which is a huge selling point for our guys because they don't have to go through the interview process. They don't have to go through, they're placed in a job for the duration of those 5 weeks. They try to place them, as far as I know, in jobs that they're interested in, that they like. And they get to, who's worked in food service? All of my food service people. While you were working, did you experience a rude customer?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Did your supervisor leave you? And say, hey, I don't know what to tell you. Well, they have a job coach for that. They have a job coach come up beside them and go, hey, it's okay. Just tell them this. Just help them do that. And they also get to, for our guys who have not actually gone to work or done any type of thing where they're responsible for getting up, getting dressed, being dressed appropriately when you go to work, doing a whole work day. Because I don't know about y'all, but the first time I had to work a 6-hour work shift, I was like, wait, so what y'all saying is I gotta stand up the whole time? Like I don't get to sit down, y'all ain't got no bench or nothing? Ugh. I work for Chick-fil-A, so y'all know I was busy. And there was a lunch rush, my very first shift. I'm like, ew. Almost quit that day, I needed a job coach. But I mean, but like, you know, you mean I gotta be nice? Like, I don't feel like being nice. I'm having a rough day today. My stomach hurt, my head hurt, and I still gotta say my pleasure. Ew. Side note, I'm 38 years old, and if you say thank you, I will still say my pleasure. And so they get to do that in summer learning. They get to experience that, but they get to do it with support. So our board actually, we work with our board for them to get paid. We also assist with, if there are any services with us, things like uniforms that they might need, food handler certificates, stuff like that, they need. And that's stuff that they get to carry with them. If they get their food handler certificate, they get to take that with them, mom and dad. So even after summer learning, once they've gotten that experience at Whataburger, they can go to work now.
What is that program called again?
Summer Earn.
Summer Earn, and it's through.
It's through Texas Workforce, our board, as well as VR. And then, side note, because I was told to put a shameless plug in there, any teachers who want some summer money, you do have to be a teacher, but if you want some summer money, we need job coaches for the Summer Earn and Learn. It's only 5 weeks during the summer, but you earn some money. So if you're interested, come holler at me. I was told to put a shameless plug in on my supervisor. So, and also that's the other part is that they're also, the job skills trainers are teachers. So they're not randoms that, you know, we just pull off the street. They understand students. They understand their learning styles. And oftentimes they're teachers as well. So they're like, look, if I'm gonna give up my summer weeks, but we're gonna finish this week, we're gonna finish these 5 weeks out, you're not cutting my money. So, there can be that little extra nudge that our kids sometimes need to see something through. Any other questions?
I'll get one over here. Nothing online.
He's my biggest fan. So I have a question. So I know he's young right now, so this might not apply to him now. But one of the jobs that I do is work for the census, and one of the questions that we ask everyone is, are they blind or do they have any difficulty seeing or hearing? So this also ranges from 12 and up. So the 14-year-olds would benefit from that. And surprisingly, you wouldn't believe how many students, college students, regular students, have that disability. So in that regard, would this be one of the services, because they ask us, what are resources for that? What can I do for my child? What can I do for me? So is this one of those things that can just like, hey, try them and see if you qualify kind of thing, or?
So it still applies. They still have to be 14 to enter services, because that's the criteria for everyone. Like the youngest we can accept anyone is 14, so it would still be the same thing for BVI as well. So they would have to be 14 to enter services.
Yeah, we interview 12 and up, but like 14 and like up, we have a lot of people say yes.
Well, yeah, they're more than welcome to apply. Yes, please do.
That helps, because that gives me a resource. I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's kind of hard when you're asking the questions and they're answering, and you're like, well, I don't know about a resource. So yeah, that
Yeah.
helps. So good.
Yes, they're more than welcome to apply for VR. Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. That's good to know. I'll pass it along.
Yes, please do.
Not that kind of VR.
No, not the video real.
That vocational,
Virtual reality.
Anyone else?
Mi pregunta es, ¿aquí es lo que debe de
This is where they get the certifications or vocational training.
So you'll call that number.
Hey, repeat the question then.
Oh, okay. She's asking if this is the number where you get services. So you'll call that number, request services, and then leave. If somebody answers, they'll take all of your information. If they don't answer, leave a message. That's the tip I've learned. And then they will get with you to start the process. Sorry, I have it in front of me.
No.
Beth, can you read off the phone number for the online viewers?
Oh, yes. The phone number, 979-595-2880. Thank you for calling. Texas Workforce Solutions Vocational Rehabilitation Services.
I hear that in my sleep. So just really quick, and I'm gonna put another shameless plug so you guys know what to expect. And then we'll finish up the questions. But so what to expect when you apply for VR services? So one thing that we do is we take an initial contact. That's where we get all of your demographic information. That's where we get how old you are, what your address is, what your left pinky toe look like, the whole nine. And then we put you into the system. So the person that you talk to may be a counselor, but it may not be a counselor. It may be a front desk worker, it may be whoever just happens to be the person that you talk to. Then you go into a system, and then they assign it to a counselor. The counselor that you're assigned to, unless you're 14 to 26, will be the counselor that you have from now on, unless we quit. So once you get to the counselor, that is your counselor for the duration. Now, once you get with that counselor, you also get with what's called a rehabilitation assistant. So they are also the person that works alongside in team with the counselor, and they are the people who actually write the service authorizations for the checks. So you want to get to know them real well. And so once you once you are assigned, you will go into the application phase where the counselor will do an application with you and you will be off and running. That's where you start the process. Once you do that, then we gather information, we do any assessments that need to be done to determine you're eligible. Sometimes the medical records you have is great. Sometimes the information that you have is not so great, and we have to do additional assessments to determine whether you're eligible for services. So once we do that, we determine you're eligible for services. Then we go into a phase called assessing and planning. This is so that the career that you're going for, when we decide what that employment goal is we know that it's suitable, we know that it's going to be long term, and we know that it's going to help you get employed. So that's where we will do, if you're 14 through 26, that's where we will do some career exploration. We have some tools from Texas Workforce that we use called Jobs, y'all. So, because I can't tell you how many teenagers I talk to that say, I want to live in Austin, I want to live in a 3-bedroom apartment with my dog, I want to drive a Tesla, I want to go to UT, I want to get married and have 3.5 children, and I want to make $17 an hour. How many of y'all know that you can't do anything in Austin for $17 an hour? You can barely do the basics like live and eat. So that's where we go through that. Like, hey, I know that you want to be, I'll use one that we get common. I know that you want to do nails because it looks great on TikTok. And I know that on TikTok they're saying that they're doing nail sets for $500. They're not doing nail sets for $500. So you're not going to make $100,000 in Bryan, Texas doing nails. So if you want to do that, let's give you a realistic look of what that's going to look like. You're probably going to have to work odd hours. You're not going to work 9 to 5 if you're doing nails. You're going to be working on Saturdays and Sundays. You might be working 10-hour days, and then you may only work 1 hour the next day. Your prices are going to have to vary. You're going to have to maintain books, all the things. So we do that in that assessing and planning time. Then, when we determine what your career goal is, that's when we move you into plan, and that's where we actually start purchasing services. So the very beginning of that process sometimes looks very long, depending on what we're doing. Don't give up on us. It is a process, but don't give up on us. Because our goal is a long-term career, not just getting a job. So don't give up on us. Do the process with us, because once we get done, then hopefully you will have a career that you're proud of. Okay.
Any more questions?
None online.
I'd like to know how is the demand, if you have a waiting time, your waiting list, or you have service available for everybody that's qualified.
So right now, I say right now, because that can change tomorrow, that's everybody knows. Right now, we do not have a waiting list. So when you come into services with us and you do your initial contact, you're starting into services. Right now, at the moment, everybody is being served. I keep saying right now, because y'all know the state of the world is nuts right now, and so that might change. But right now, at least for the foreseeable future, everybody that comes through our doors are able to be served. Now, the time frame from the day you walk in to the day you're getting services, that's where it's going to differ. If you're coming in and your goal is just, hey, I've been a nurse for 50 years and I need a certification so that I can do something else, you might be in and out in 6 months. But if you come in and you need a spine surgery, we might be friends for 2 or 3 years. I have people on my caseload right now that I've had since they were 14, and now they're going to A&M, and I've had them now for 6 or 7 years. Well, somebody has had them for 6 or 7 years. So the time from the initial contact to actually getting you in the plan and paying for services is where the variation is. It really just depends on how many services you need, how long it takes us to get to the point. I will tell you, if we gotta get records from VA, you're gonna have a little bit of a wait. Because they tend to take longer. Or health point, yeah. They tend to take a long time to get us medical records. So, however, if we have your records and we don't need to request any, then it may be shorter. So that's kind of the tall and the short, or the long and the not so long answer.
I can probably speak loud enough.
On the way, if a teacher wants to work summer earn and learn, how do they do that?
So do we need an appointment or can we just walk in the door?
You can walk in the door to do an initial contact.
Okay, but we can also do the initial contact with the 512 number?
Yes.
Is there a difference in the processing time if we call versus come in the door? No, okay.
If you come in the door, you will very likely be seen immediately. If you're calling on the phone, you might have to wait a little bit until somebody comes back.
Okay.
That's pretty much the only difference.
Okay. I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay, everyone online, thank you for joining us. Leave a message if you would like us to add you to the email list, and you can get access to the video. So I put my email address on there, aday@tamu.edu.